And we're back with another episode of Pokemon Liquid Crystal. Yes, another one. This is part 70. It's a long game, man. It's a long game. So anyway, I'm just going to open the town map because today we're going to continue along our route, which is from Fuchsia to Lavender. So we've done this area down here. We've done routes 15 and 14. 14 really was not very long, was it? So today we're going to do maybe... That's a pretty long area there, so I might just end up doing route 13. We might fit in some of route 12. It's likely to be 2 episodes from here. Depends how many trainers we find. But yeah, it's friggin' freezing today here in Britain. And some areas of Britain it's actually snowing, which is fairly ominous, but it's not here down in London. Now this area is very different from what it is in the actual crystal. Actually, the pattern's probably very similar, but as you can see, this is just a bunch of trees. Whereas in the original, it's just a bunch of like fences and stuff. So, I suppose that's a nice aesthetic change. Damn that word. And damn my inability to pronounce things recently. So anyway, I'm gonna be honest and say that this route, this whole like stretch of land, it's probably one of those boring routes in all of Pokemon. It's so long, there's nothing like important that happens during it, other than there is one semi-important thing that we'll see when we get there. But yeah, which is why Kanto's annoying. And also, Cycling Road in the original Red, Blue, Yellow, that was kind of the same. That route is a bit dull as well. See, that's what I like about Johto. Johto doesn't have many of those kind of areas. They're all pretty short areas in between towns, which is very nice. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one that was especially annoying. Unless maybe it's the route to Victory Road, but you know, you accept that. I think Universe is also pretty good with that, in the fact that there's no really long routes. I know Hoenn has a really annoying long route east of, was it Lavender Town? And up until maybe... that whole area east of there, basically, is just a long route full of tall grass, and that's really annoying. And then in Sinnoh you have that stupid snow area, and Mount Coronet, is that the name? I can't believe I can't remember the name of that. That shows how long it's been since I played that game, but I think that's what it is. That whole area is a bit long and boring as well, but I think this route takes the biscuit, if that's a phrase. I think it is. I seem to just not know any phrases. What does that even mean? Also, why is this Graveler level 31? You're out of place, sir, and you'll swiftly get some leaves to your face. So apparently does a significant amount of damage, who knew? Now, people complain like, oh, the anime is like, it's so Deus Ex and stuff. It's so like, he just hit him in once and he died. That's so cheap. Well, it might be in terms of storytelling, but if you play the games, there's so many one-hit kills. That's how it happens. Oh man, this looks like it could be annoying. Where do I go? The heck? It seems like you can get through some of these gaps and then you can't. It's quite frustrating. Looks like here's the way. To another balding middle-aged man. There seems to be plenty of these just wandering around this realm. Bow down before my regal Pokemon! Now I believe this guy has a bunch of king-based Pokemon. We'll soon see. Although he also has a Pikachu for some reason. A Pikachu child, that is. And it's, yeah, Nidoking, for example. I think he has like Kingler and stuff as well. So that's nice. So being that this route is fairly long, last episode I kind of like went into well, not that much detail, but I kind of told a small tale of my history of Pokemon. There's more to it than what I said, but it kind of just goes into pointless realms. So I'd like to think that I can come up with other things to say, and I have. For this episode, I think I'm going to delve into my history of gaming. Oh wow, Piney definitely is getting up there. I might need to switch him out. Oh, a Slowking. Let's use Ganj. So yeah, every gamer has a history of gaming that they don't really like think about off the top of their head, but everyone has to start somewhere. So, I don't know when I explicitly started playing games per se, But the first game I ever played was on an old console that some might know, the Sega. In England, it's the Sega Mega Drive. So yeah, we had a Mega Drive, but it's more commonly known as the Sega Genesis. And to be honest, I call it the Genesis all the time. I don't know why, but it's just a nice name, Genesis. Though a tad cliche sometimes. So yeah, it was owned by my parents, and we didn't have many games for it. But one game we did have, and that obviously many other people had because it was the best-selling game for that console, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now that, I think... Now, it has some stiff competition, but I think that, as well as it being the first game I've ever played, I think that is my favourite game ever. It's just such a well-designed game. And if you haven't played it, there's no excuse, you have to play it. It's just like, it's a short platforming game. Well, it's short because you can complete it in less than an hour. But it's just so fun. I've replayed that game so many times. It's just amazing. The music, it's the design, just the atmosphere. Everything about that game is great. Except maybe the last level, it's a bit annoying. But yeah, we get over that. Everything up until that point is just gold. It's gold, and that was my first ever gaming experience when I was really little. Though, being that I was a young child at the time, like literally just coming out of toddler-isms, or the toddler era of my life, what I mostly did was I just watched my parents play it. And what I remember fond memories of, whenever there was a thunderstorm, I would always get like a bit scared, like not petrified, but a bit scared, so I'd always come down and my parents would always be like, oh okay, it's okay, we'll calm you down, and then they just played Sonic 2, they played the multiplayer, and it's like, oh okay, that's cool. Eventually I like stopped being scared of the thunderstorms and I just went downstairs just to watch Sonic 2, because it's great. Oh, good memories, man, this takes me well back. But then, our Mega Drive just kind of broke down. God, this guy has 6 Pikachu, doesn't he? God damn it, we're gonna have to use Fluffles for this one, I think. So yeah, the Mega Drive kind of went kaput for after a while. Although I remember when I was young, I tended to suck at that game. But I remember we found like the Mega Drive in our attic, or I think we had a separate one. We may have had 2 at some point. But we had a separate Mega Drive, and I played Sonic 2 after ages. And as a kid, I couldn't get past Chemical Plant Zone because it's really hard. But then I remember playing for it again, and I got to Metropolis Zone, and I was well chuffed with myself because it's the first time I played it in ages. But then, for whatever reason, the Mega Drive then got lost amongst all the madness there. And the next console, no, in fact, the first console that I owned personally, I think it must have been a Game Boy Color. It must have been. It was a purple one. And the first game I ever got for that, although it was given with it, it was what is the game? It's the Tasmanian Devil game from the Looney Tunes. That was a hard-ass game. I might go back and play that. But basically, the objective was to go around and eat a bunch of food. I got to like China, which is probably level 3, and then I just gave up or something. And then the next game I got for that was Super Mario World or Super Mario Land. It's something like that. And that's some of the best music ever. And that was actually, I believe, the first game I ever completed. It's not a very long game, but as a child, like, it's kind of hard, but I remember beating the end boss of that game. It was such an amazing feeling. That was good times. And I owned several Game Boy Color games, not many. I had an Inspector Gadget game from memory. And then of course Pokemon Blue came along and I played the absolute crap out of that, and then Pokemon Yellow and Gold thereafter, but I think that was a bit later in my life. But before then, I remember that I was given a PlayStation And when I say given, this was after its kind of prime. But it was a kind of hand-me-down. But it was great, and the first game I had for that, I believe, was Crash Bandicoot 2. And that is, I'd say, in terms of franchises, my third favourite after Pokemon and Sonic the Hedgehog. I think my third favourite has to be Crash Bandicoot. And it sucks because there's not any Crash games out recently. I don't know, it's like they've kind of given up on it, which is a bit depressing. So many childhood memories, but yeah, Crash Bandicoot 2, that is a great game. And also, so are the other main, like the ones made by Naughty Dog. There was, oh, hang on. Right, there was Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3, and then there's Crash Team Racing. You know what? Crash Team Racing competes with Sonic 2 as my favourite game. I think Sonic 2 might just win out, but it's really close. Crash Team Racing is one of those games where I just know everything about that game, man. Everything. And it's a bit sad. I don't mean to sound like big-headed, but I often don't play the game because I'll just beat everyone I play at that game. There are a few exceptions to that. Oh, okay. I thought that was a... I don't know why I thought that might be a double battle, but I guess not. But yeah, there are a few exceptions. I know some people that run me really close, and some beat me sometimes. So there are people out there, but just most of the time, that's not the case. And I just don't play when there's like a party, and it's like, oh yeah, go back to old games, man. It's one of those things because people say, oh, this game is so nostalgic. Like the old Pokemons or the old Sonics. I'm like, it's not really nostalgic to me because I still play them all the time. Yeah. So yeah, that was a good day. And the first, didn't realise what he sent out next. Like I just kind of kept pressing B. My hands are really cold because it's really cold. It's supposed, yeah, as I said, it's supposed to be snowing, so my hands are freezing. I had to like put them on the radiator, but I digress. Anyway, the first PlayStation game I ever beat was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is what it's known as in England. I believe it's known as the Sorcerer's Stone in several other locations. But it's the Philosopher's Stone, damn it. That sounds so much cooler. But again, I digress. Where's this go? Oh, okay, it's just a bunch of grass. Alright, why the hell not? With an Oddish. Oddish. So yeah, that was a pretty bad game looking back at it. There was no jump button. To jump, you had to run off an edge. What the hell other game has that? That's ridiculous. Oh, okay, I beat that guy. Yeah, he's the Pikachu guy. I don't want to see him again. So yeah, that was pretty... it's kind of a frustrating game, but it's also fairly easy. There's this one part of the game... I seem to remember... Where were Super Repels? I seem to remember you had to run away from... I can't even remember what it was. Have I ran out of repels, or am I just being an idiot? I could see a max repel. Do I have super repels? Am I just moving past them? I think I've ran out. The only reason I put that up is because I wanted to surf around here for a bit. I doubt anything's here, but you never know. You never know. So yeah, that game, that was a strange game. Yeah, that's it. You had to run away from like a troll or something in the toilets. I should know what that is. Should know what that part is. And then there was a part in Gringotts which was really annoying as well. And yeah, it's not the worst game I've ever played. But still. I'm trying to think. I did have a PS1 for a bit. But I remember I got a PS2 for Christmas at one point. Oh wow, this is a really good matchup. And again, one of the first games I had for that was Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex. That was an okay game, though it got kind of repetitive towards the end. It's not as good. It doesn't have the same charm as the original games. But it was still a good game. I remember I actually completed that again in my first year of university. Once we'd done all our work, we just had to kind of like mill around. And so I was just round in my mate's like dorm or whatever you call it. And we were just like playing all these old games, and one of them was Wrath of Cortex. And I just remember we got to a point, it's like, oh, we've got another like mech level, this is annoying. Another flying level, this is annoying. There are a lot of good points about that game too, but anyway, that's well far ahead. So I didn't have many games originally, but the first game I ever bought personally for the PS2 would be a small game called 007 Nightfire. And again, now that I think back, that must be right up there as list of, like, in a high point of my favourite games of all time. That is an amazing game. I prefer... I mean, this sounds blasphemous to some people. I would pick Nightfire over Golden Knight any day. It is probably, however, because I never had an N64, so I never played GoldenEye that much, so now I just play back at it. Also, GoldenEye hasn't aged that well, if I'll be perfectly honest with you. But Nightfire still kind of holds stead. Also, I just love that game so much. Anyway, this is the one thing that I mentioned was semi-important. It gives you a super rod, which we're not going to use at all, so actually fairly useless, but there you go. So we're just going to continue. We can't be that far from the end, actually. If we go west here, this leads to, I believe, Route 11, and that leads back to the Vermilion City, but we cannot go there yet. Or we can go on the route, but eventually it gets blocked by a Snorlax, and that's no good. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what other game. Oh, I got Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers when that came, and that was a good game. Though I prefer Return of the King just because it's multiplayer. It's so much fun. It's just hack and slash, and you can break the game completely by using all these combos. It just insta kills all the orcs. But yeah, good memories, good memories. But would you believe I have not ever owned a 3rd gen console ever? Oh, I've played them loads, but after the PS2, I never bought like a PS3 or even an original Xbox, never mind an Xbox 360. That's crazy, because I'm about to like miss an entire generation. I guess I just would rather spend money on other things. I don't know what it is. Also, I know if I bought one, I would just spend all my money on it, and I'm not a man that has that much money. Or at least, I'm someone that knows how to save their money wisely, and I'm perfectly happy with the devices I have. Oh, I've owned a handheld console since then. I've had a Game Boy Advance, and, of course, I've had 2 Nintendo DS's since then. And why 2? Well, funny story. Well, not really, actually, it was really annoying, but I remember I was charging my DS up, and I went to pick it up, and somehow it sort of flew out of the charger. I lifted it up with such force that it flew out of my charger and out of my hand, across the room and into a wall. Now, I would like dropping that thing all the time and it was fine, but I picked it up and the screen is just completely destroyed. I'm like, oh no, I can't see what I'm doing. It's like, I can't see my Gyarados' moveset. What is going on? So yeah, I bought a new DS. But you can still, like, one of the screens on the old DS still works. So inadvertently, it's proven to be not such a bad thing. Because it means I can trade between games. I can trade between Pokemon games. And that's how I do it. So I have 2 DS's. But there's no way in hell, like, it's just unplayable for regular playthrough. But I've had both my DS's I got whilst pre-owned. As I said in a previous episode, I bought a DS originally just for Pokemon Pearl. So that's why I got one of those. But yeah, I have 2 DS's, and nearly every game on my DS is Pokemon. I have Pokemon Platinum, Pearl, and Diamond. I have several Mystery Dungeon games, and I have White, and I have Heart Gold. And it's just ridiculous. And Conquest, I can't forget that. I need to play that again, actually. Conquest is a good game. But I wish that like it didn't restart. Like, I built up my empire, conquered everything, and then you have to do all these other side stories. It's like, well, that means I've just spent all my time building up my empire, and I had a really good team of warriors and Pokemon, and that has all just disappeared. It sucks a bit, but oh well. So I'll go back to that at one point. But yeah, the only other games I have for my DS that is not Pokemon is I have Sonic Colors, which is actually a decent port, actually. I hear Sonic Rush is supposed to be good, but I've not played it. And I have Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. And how the hell did I miss this? Speaking of games, again, that I think must be top of the list, one of those games has to be Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I mean, I clearly obtained that game whilst below the age of 18, but I don't know, I'd like to think that I'm someone that doesn't just completely take everything in games and then reenact them out. I was mature enough. I wasn't going to do anything stupid from playing a higher game, so whatever. I played the absolute crap out of that game. I still have my original file, my 100% file in San Andreas. I spent so much time on that. In fact, that must be... So San Andreas, Nightfire, Sonic 2, and Crash Team Racing. This is all non-Pokemon games as well. There must be so many Pokemon games in that list as well. But yeah. So that's fairly extensive. We're here in Lavender Town. Man, I actually didn't think we'd be able to do it this episode, but we did. We did. So what the plan is, we're going to explore around here. But then next episode, we're going to head north and hopefully get to the power plant if we're allowed. And if not, we'll go further west to Cerulean City. Whew, I'm glad we're on that route. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my rambling on my history. Also, I know I don't get many comments, but if for some reason you feel like divulging your gaming history, then feel free to post. I like to reply to nearly every comment that I can, so I will reply if it's something that's worthy of a reply. Like sometimes people just say one-line things that you can't really reply to. It's not like nothing that against that. It's just that I have nothing really to say. Things like, I don't know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like, if someone says, I don't know, some things you just can't reply to, it's complicated. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Part 70, it's ridiculous. Toodles!